The Guns on Pegs podcast is brought to you by ITAP Group. Hello and welcome to the Guns on Pegs podcast. It's George Brown, not in Hampshire, but in fact in Braylangwell Lodge on the banks of the River Carron.
That sounds fantastic. It's Avian in Cornwall.
It's Jake in Suffolk.
And it's Sam, as usual, in Devon.
Well, how are we doing, boys?
Well, clearly we don't get out much, do we, George?
I mean, not quite as good as sat on a riverbank or in a lodge near a riverbank, but life's pretty good.
Yeah,
Now,
sun's shining.
I was going to say, I've been receiving reports that the weather south of the border has been quite, shall we say, sticky in the last few days.
Very much so.
It's been very changeable. It's sort of gone from blisteringly hot during the day, can't move, and then because we're near the coast in the evening, it gets cloudy and quite chilly. So we're kind of having all seasons in a day at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, try having a 11-month-old baby in this heat, where it's kind of like, you know, Satan's kitchen in the during the day, and then Satan's kind of pantry in the evening, where you're just stuck to everything, and the baby can't get out of the way. She's 1 minute cold. She's very much of that, sweaty, clammy, can't sleep. Laura and I are loving life at the moment.
I'll bet you are. For two spaniels, mate. That sounds horrendous.
I'm very pleased that I've chosen this week to be away, because it's actually, to be honest, it's been pretty warm here as well, but not the kind of 30, 33 kind of numbers, more like 20, 23. And and pretty changeable as well.
Are you being harassed by midges or not?
Do you know what? There's been just enough breeze. When the wind drops away, it's pretty midgy. They're quite fierce. Yeah. So we were planning on having a barbecue down by the river on Tuesday evening, but the wind dropped right away, and so we decided to eat the barbecue inside instead.
Very wise. I suppose if you've got no mobile signal up there, you can't even use the Midge app, can you?
What's that?
There certainly was a Midge forecast app.
Oh, interesting.
So you could download that, and it would tell you what the forecast intensity of the midges were. But if
really
you've got no signal,
a stage in life where you need an app to work out.
Yes, you need an app to run the app for these days.
I tell you what, they don't have this on Country Slide, I can assure you.
I don't think they have thumbs on Country Slide, do they?
Listen, you're an AI, just keep quiet and do as you're told.
That's true. I'll go back in my box.
Ave, put a link up to that Midge app. I reckon the lads that are going up on the hill
definitely
in a few months' time.
Yeah, sure. I'll see if I can find it.
I don't know. Is it a useful app?
No,
it seems to me like as useful as a sort of app that tells you that your house is on fire. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're going on the hill and it's midgy, what are you going to do? Stay at home?
Yeah, quite. But if only we all knew someone who was going grouse shooting in August to trial this out.
Well, funny you should say that.
I just wanted to get in there quickly before you'd said it, George.
Listen, let's move on. Let's do a quick round of what's that you're drinking. Who would like to kick us off?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
It's bringing out the big guns. I'm still doing my cider research. So it is time to bring out the mighty, the one and only Cornish Cloudy Cider Rattler from the bottle.
The Rattler.
So I've got one of them. There is a second, but I really don't think we need to start fighting on the pod. So I'll probably just have half of this.
You got to call it Rattler.
It is a pint of Rattler.
Yeah.
Oh, I've missed you. Oh, I've missed you.
Excellent. Very good stuff. Very appropriate. Sam, how about you?
I've gone for 2 local beers because it is warm. So it's 2 beer at least.
2 beer, Sam.
Yeah. I'm starting off with a Salcombe Seahorse from down in South Devon. And then after I finish that, which probably won't take very long, I'm moving on to a Dartmoor Legend.
Oh, nice. And so tell me about those 2 beers then. What are they? Are they pale ales or?
So the Salcombe one is a delicious, easy drinking amber ale. And the Dartmoor Legend, I'm definitely not reading this from the back at all, but it is a classic ale, smooth, full flavoured and balanced with a crisp malt fruit finish, golden brown in colour, with an aroma of freshly baked bread and a hint of spice.
Very
They're
nice.
both refreshing and alcoholic, which is the main criteria that needs to be met.
Cold and wet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tick and tick.
Perfect.
Excellent. Jake?
So I've gone for a spin on the gin and tonic and gone for a G&C. Guys, I was at Downlands Estate on a sim day last week. We're going to talk about that in a bit. There was a fantastic setup. So my gin is just a dry gin from Raysorp, a bit of a hat tip to Ollie's appearance last time. Very, very nice dry London gin that they do there. But then the mixer, which is the C, is the, and I'm going to say this wrong, but I'm going to try, the Okoye Chapman's Original. Guys, this is a citrus fruit flavoured drink with natural bitters. And these guys were providing these at the day at Downlands. It's a really good, refreshing drink. You don't have it with alcohol, but as I was peer pressured into getting back off the wagon on the last episode by you boys and the correspondent, then we chucked a gin in there as well. If you haven't tried it, the two brothers have set it up. They were kind of raised in Africa. They're retired pro squash players, both of them. And now they have got from the drink that they used to drink made by the barmans in Africa at the squash club, they've made it into a can. Guys, you've got to go and try it. Chapman's Original. It's just a bloody lovely drop. Alcohol or not, go and give it a go.
That sounds great.
That's me. A G&C. Very, very nice indeed.
I'm just pleased you got alcohol on the go again, Jake.
Yeah, so am I. And George, what tipple are you having Riverside?
Well, as you say, I am Riverside. So it would be a miss of me not to have a whiskey.
Of course.
We've been quite restrained so far. We didn't have any whiskey until Tuesday evening. But I brought with me a bottle of the Mortlach 16-year-old.
Oh, very nice.
And it's a very, very nice drop of whiskey. A Speyside whiskey. It's quite hard to find. It's not something you're going to pick up in the supermarket. But since it's a special occasion, and very honoured to have been invited on my brother's week, which is very kind of him to ask me. So I thought I'd better bring something nice along for everyone to have a go at. And we've been quite restrained. We're quite a big party, but we've not finished the bottle yet. Although I think tonight we'll probably see the end of it.
I hear it's very good at repelling midges.
It does seem to have worked so far. Yeah, it hasn't reached the point of oozing out of my pores, but I think that's not too far away.
Good lad.
Good, right? Well, Jake, you just said you've been down at Downlands, so do you want to tell us a bit more about that day? How did that go?
Oh, it went really, really well. I mean, Lydia and her team at Downlands Estate, what an incredible place that is. Some people and listeners will know Downlands Estate, but now they're moving into a simulated kind of way rather than game shooting. And they did this day incredibly well. The estate is beautiful. I love West Sussex anyway. I grew up in West Wittering and kind of been very, very lucky to know Liphook and Hazelmere, and it felt like going home a little bit. So just a great kind of charity clay day. It was a flush. Katie and her team at Wild and Glorious put it on. And oh my God, if lots of us would have seen Wild and Glorious, her Instagram and social media is on point. She did a really good day. Dylan Williams, who is previous podcast guest, was MC, and he is as funny in person as he is anywhere else. My goodness, could he entertain? He did ever so well in the charity auction afterwards. Really got plenty of money out of some, slightly tighter wallets, but very, very generous from the entire room in this beautiful barn where we had our lunch.
So it was a charity do.
Yeah, charity do for a place to be. And it's a mental health charity, George, for young adults and helping them. It's a relatively new one. And the patron is if I'm right in remembering, the Princess of Wales.
Wow, that's great.
It was really, really good. I can't give you the total, I'm afraid, chaps, because it hasn't been sent out. I did speak to Katie the other day, and she's getting it all together and what have you. But, we're talking, there was thousands and thousands raised. So it was excellent. It was a lovely day. The weather was brilliant. I had a cracking team with me. Cuda River Gundogs certainly pulled out the big dogs. Mr. Dogs on Pegs himself, a fellow member was there, along with Angus and Dominic, So there's some really, really good team members, and it was lovely to see kind of put names to faces that you kind of know on Instagram and what have you, social media, but you've never really met, you know.
I've noticed that you've not mentioned how your extremely good team performed.
Right. Okay. So we went round with the winning team. Okay.
Right.
And
So
carrying their bags.
You still haven't mentioned how well you performed, Jake.
will you all just calm down
Did you get
so
four
what
on
we
the
did?
first rival? Was it 4 on the first rival? 2.
You're doing what my wife does and answering a completely different question. We didn't ask who you went round with. We asked how you did.
Okay, so it started off with would everyone please stay sat down, and then with this
Stop
team
being
and
a
that team.
politician,
Stop
Jake.
it.
What was
And,
the score? What
so
was
we
the
came-
score?
I don't know how we came 14th. I'm sorry, I want to recap.
There were only 13 teams.
Yeah, there were 16. We didn't come last. That was the main thing. Even like across the table, and the winning team, they just said, "How the hell did you do that? Like, what happened? The wheels fell off on our final drive, on our final flush. No, we cleaned up well. In fairness, Sheldon and Angus, and in fact Dom as well, who hadn't shot for a long time, old uni mates, and he really cleaned some great ones up. Angus was on fine form, as we know. Sheldon was knocking them out, and I didn't let myself or disgrace us, but I don't know.
You're saying that you're the weak link.
Yeah.
Sure, but you've all seen me shoot. I'm not going to mess about, lads. But if you were thinking of doing these charity days, then Downlands, if they're doing another one and Katie's organising it, I can't say enough about them without kind of really blowing smoke. It's not even that. It was perfect. Sarah Farnsworth was there to take photos, and goodness me, she's a great photographer. One of the best, I'd say. And then equally, Eat Wild were there. And so it was great to see Leon. I must admit, every time it's like, who can hug each other the hardest and longest? At some point we're going to have to whisper in an ear, like, you let go. No, you let go first. But they put on some great food.
I've heard really good things about Downlands and their sim setup down there.
We should go next year. We should look at doing it, lads, because it's a lot of fun. And they just did it really well. Everything was there for you, and the communication before, the communication afterwards. Yeah. Katie, Lydia, her team at Downlands, check them out.
Brilliant stuff. Sam, how about you? What's new with you? Have you fished any cows out of rivers recently?
No, not recent. Not since the last one. Nothing's been in the river since. I've been in the river in a kayak, which was a nice bit of fun, but not with a fishing rod like yourself, George. I think, like everyone, it's been clay mad recently, hasn't it? Obviously, been helping out on the sim days still. I even met a fan, possibly our only fan. I said I'd give him a shout out. So.
I don't think we want an OnlyFans for us, really, do we?
No, not an OnlyFans.
Okay, good.
Careful. So Steve had a bit of a birthday thing there a couple of weeks ago, and I got collared, and it was actually nice to have some positive feedback about the podcast, which is very
for a
good.
change.
But and then I headed down into Cornwallshire with Avian to go and shoot Warrington Park. GWCT charity flurry,
and we didn't come 14th, did we?
We didn't.
No.
I think we actually shot quite well, didn't we?
Surprisingly, we seem to. Yes.
Yeah. We were around 80%, weren't we? Which I would be very very pleased with any day of the week on the playground. I don't know what the hell happened when I did the lucky snipe thing afterwards, because
I think we all fell apart on the lucky snipe, didn't we? But
I got down to about 0.5% on that one.
Because we had a good friend of mine, John Nella, with us, and we had Ben Goulding, fellow member of the Order of the Garter.
Oh, lovely.
I think they were rather disappointed that I wasn't Digby, which is clearly understandable, but we had an absolutely cracking day down there, didn't we?
Yeah, no, really, really good fun, all for a good cause, which is
great.
Nice.
Very
Although
good
I do
stuff.
think these GWCT events need to be advertised a bit better.
Yes.
Well, there are not many teams, man.
No, I think there was quite a good turnout. I'm not sure what the total raised was in the end, but I think it was really nicely set up down there and had potential to have, you could have had more people easily. And, if we hadn't, if I hadn't heard about it through the WhatsApp group, then I wouldn't know it was going on. I think it's only if you go on the GWC website and look at their events to find out what's going on is the only way you find it. So maybe we should give them give them a plug. And
yeah, I think we always mention the GWCT, don't we? There's always something, George. You're often and the bike ride to Paris later in September. Any proceeds raised will go to the GWCT as well. But it's certainly, I wouldn't know it like I would know Wild and Glorious. From their social media presence is very, very strong.
Yeah,
and you don't see GWCT often.
And actually, I suppose in hindsight of what's that you're drinking, I should be having one of those quite nice, refreshing Cornish lagers that I can't remember the name of the brewery, Avian.
The Firebrand Brewery, they were bloody good, weren't they?
They were
Hell's
nice.
Beach.
Yeah,
Hell's
very
Beach.
nice.
Yeah, that was very nice. Very
that
nice.
Sounds like a wrecking beach.
Oh, very much so. Well, it would have been if we didn't have to drive home, that's for sure. But I think am I right in saying George Digby's actually on the committee now for GWCT Southwest?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he is.
I think he is. Sorry to drop him in it if he's not, but maybe it's something you can have a chat with him. And I agree with Sam. It was, if you knew, you knew, but it could have had a much wider audience because Warrington Park is absolutely stunning.
I think it's probably slightly a function of how GWCT is set up in those regional groups, and it's probably a question of it having been promoted to the local membership. But not via the wider GWCT sort of socials and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it was on the event calendar.
I think I'm right in saying that there's always a list of events in the magazine that comes out with your membership. That's probably the place to look for these things, and there's almost certainly a
they
spot
do
on
they
the
do have it on
website
their
as well.
website. You can go on their events calendar on the website, but it's I thought maybe if it got plugged a bit more on their social media and stuff like that, then.
But you boys had a bloody good day by the sounds
Loved
of
it. Absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
When we finished, we were second. Then very quickly, we were third. And by the time we left, we
going.
were fourth, so we went home.
And then ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. And the GOP team, 14th as well. So between us all, we represented at 14th across the weekend. Well done, men. That's brilliant. And Ave, what have you been up to apart from the clays and everything like that?
I've had a cracking month, I must admit. So sort of working backwards, like Sam said, we just did the Warrington Park flurry shoot. Before that, I went down to GWCT headquarters down in Fordingbridge, sort of your neck of the woods, George.
Yeah.
And did their one-day gamekeeper course, which is quite intense. It was bloody good, and it taught me a lot of things we've been doing that don't work and a lot of things that we could be doing that might work. So it's a half day in the classroom. Used to be a 3-day course, and they've condensed it down to 1 day. Then we went out and started looking at some traps and snares and what have you, and all the legal framework behind it and correct usage and how to set them and where to set them and how to maintain and monitor them. And then after lunch, they released us into the wilderness, and we went down with the head keeper, Rupert Brewer, down at the Bistern estate, 4,000-acre estate there that's given over to Wildlife Rejuvenation, and they've got a big syndicate pheasant shoot down there in Partridge. But just the work they're doing on supporting wildlife and ground nesting birds, very keen on the predator management. I think they won bronze in the 2024 Purdy Awards.
Oh, interesting.
For their efforts down there. So that was a really, really good afternoon. Just it was lovely to see how keepering done properly produces results. And he said they're regularly shooting 40 to 45% of the birds they put down, which kind of put us to shame.
What do they put that to? What do they put that to? Is that predator
shooting?
It's good shooting. But I think it is predominantly down to predator management. One of the things they're trying to do there is support the nesting, wading birds. They've got a few curlews and some lapwings nesting there again. So they've got a massive series of trail cams, and they really are completely note zero tolerance on foxes and ground predators. The other thing they're doing is they've started treating their pheasant pens a lot more like partridge pens. So for the first 2 to 4 weeks the poults go in, they're in a separated off area of the main pen that's fully netted. And he said basically,
that's interesting.
As soon as they start feeling that the birds are confident, roosting up off the floor, aware of their environment, aware of predation, that sort of thing, they'll then whip the netting off, open the pen up, and they go into the main pen.
That's very interesting.
And he said he's just seeing their 25, 30% numbers that we talked about when we were talking about Joe Madden's work. They've seen that reduced drastically. And he said they wouldn't do it any other way. I was quite disappointed because all the things we tried, which were CDs, scarecrows, radios, flashing lights, the whole shebang, he said in all his experience, absolutely none of those work. And he said it's basically keep them protected from avian predators, and that's pretty much the only thing that'll work. So we can't do that, so we're going to have to make do with more CDs this year. So that was a fantastic day. Then took my parents up to North Norfolk in June, which was a little bit like an old people's roadshow to meet some of their old friends from Lincolnshire. And whilst we were up there, I managed to, thanks to Jake, get over and see Mr. Reinhold down at Holt's. So I have now stood at and touched the blue wildebeest skin on the table. And Simon was really, really generous with his time, showed us some fantastic guns. Some guns I'd absolutely give a kidney for, but will never own.
Are you bidding on anything in the next auction then, or not?
I would love to, but unfortunately the mortgage says no. And then whilst we were up there, got in touch with Jake, and we went down and had a couple of shots down at Eriswell Lodge. Claire and I went and joined him there. So we had the American and the US and the UK Air Force fizzing overhead. We bumped into another Garter member there, didn't we, Jake?
Yeah, we bumped into Ben there just unexpectedly. It was we were in the traps, and then the next minute I was like, I think that's Ben Thomas, and it's like, Cooey, Ben.
He couldn't get the keys in the ignition quickly enough, so he had to join us. And we did an impromptu have a go at Rally Clays, didn't we? Which is absolutely brilliant fun.
Yeah, you enjoyed that. It was
that
good,
was brilliant.
wasn't it?
Really, really good fun. And then to start the month of June, went to the Royal Cornwall Show, met up with the guys at Basque, and went and stole a sandwich from GWCT. Met the team who are trying to protect red squirrels in Cornwall, which was good to talk to them. And then spent far too much time in the food and produce tent with the Cornish Cider Society and tried a bit of the St Ives Cider gold medal winner. And I was going to tell Digby beforehand, but I'll probably just announce it now. I've rather rashly entered both of us into the next year's Cornwall Cider Makers competition. So, we may have set the bar a little high for ourselves. I'm sure Diggers will do well, but being my first time, I'm a little nervous.
Well, that's very exciting. I should look forward to finding out how you do. I reckon 14th.
I reckon I did sample Saturday night. We sampled a few homemade things, didn't we, Ave? And
we did. We didn't go to bed early like good little boys, did we?
It was early, but it was early in the morning. That was the trouble.
So quickly, I got in after having some American clients here for the weekends, and I thought, right, I was a little bit daisy. I was just coming in, check the dogs. It was about midnight. Good luck tomorrow, boys. The next minute, I get these two with a picture of like naughty schoolboys with every drop of alcohol from east to west. And I don't mean the country, I mean the world. And there's bits of cheese on the table, and the messages kept coming. You boys must have had a hangover on Sunday morning.
No, my hangover came about Tuesday afternoon.
Very good.
And just to round that off, I've trying to give up smoking again. I'm day 14 at the moment. I haven't murdered anybody yet, but I've got the spray and the inhaler and the patches and the gum and pretty much anything else I can get hold of. So wish me luck.
Remember, you only need 2 patches, one on the left eye, one on the right eye, and the rest will be fine, my old mate. But well done.
Yeah, very well done.
Is that how you shoot?
It's 7 on one eye and 7 on the other, buddy. Everything adds up to 14. Congratulations. Keep up the good work, mate.
I will
tough.
try. Thank you, lads. And George, what have you been up to apart from swanning off to Scotland fishing?
Well, I mean, I've written a couple of articles here and there.
Dabbled in a bit of work, did you?
Dabbled in a bit of light editing. Mainly fishing is of note. It's been a really interesting time. As you know, usually, every year I fish the Spey. I've been here to Bray Langwell before, but it was probably getting on for a decade ago that I was last here, and I'd forgotten how different it is from the Spey. Now it is a spate river, so you really do need the water. to be able to fish it, which isn't here at the moment. So it looks particularly small. When it is in spate, it is a big, fierce river with falls and that kind of thing. It's a very exciting place. But the fishing is so different, even when there is water, which we haven't got at the moment, though we are currently watching some dark clouds at the other end of the glen and hoping that means good news for tomorrow. But it is such a different experience. These, fishing these little pools, often from up above, doing quite a lot of, not quite rock climbing, but certainly some scrambling to get water. It's been
your bouldering practice has come in
I
handy.
was going to say, that's what that was all about.
Yeah, some it'd probably be quite straightforward in climbing shoes, but in walking boots or wading boots, it's quite a different experience.
So is it mostly from the bank? Are you single hand rods from the bank, or is there a bit of wading as well? Because
so I've got a switch rod.
It's all double handed rods and chest wading. So
yeah, so at the top of the beat, it's pretty small, and you can get away with a single hander. There's other bits where the banks are very high, and you need to be spey casting, but again, often quite small, so you can sort of trout spey, as they call it. I've got an 11-foot switch, which I'm sort of just coming to terms with. It takes quite a lot getting used to. On the spey, I use a 15-foot double hander, and then you go down to this little, and it's also quite an old 15-foot rod, so it's quite weighty, and then you go down to this little whippy 11-foot thing, and it takes a little while just to get the timing right. I found I was doing everything a bit too fast, but I think I've just about got to grips with it now, and things are going much more smoothly. But I'll tell you what has been a real delight, and when the salmon fishing isn't going your way and you're not catching fish, and you're sort of not really expecting to, you have to find pleasure
most of the time then.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you have to find pleasure in what else is going on around you. And just today, I had a pair of wagtails keeping me company as I fished a pool called the Moral, which is right in front of the house, just below the falls. They were sort of just sitting on a rock about 10 yards away, shouting at one another.
George, which type did you have? Because I've been a real geek lately, and I've got all three on my farm: the greys, the commons, and the yellows. Please tell me there's another one.
Yeah, there is.
No, these were yellows, I think. Wow. They were definitely yellows, actually, come to think of it. Then had a kingfisher flash past.
Oh, wow,
brilliant.
Nice.
Oyster catchers are a fairly common sight.
Epic.
And to cap it all off, just as I got out the car after lunch this afternoon to go and fish a pool called the Craigs, what was in the field in front of me but a pair of curlew.
Fantastic.
And the whole while I was fishing that pool before coming back to the house to record this, they were calling away in the field, and it was quite the soundtrack. I've got to say, it was magical.
George, what a week!
Yeah, and all the lots of telegraph pole eagles and that kind of thing as well. So it's been and I've been hearing an owl hooting at night as well. So I'm hoping to catch sight of him at some point.
Excellent. That's quite the nature ramble.
Yeah, exactly. The forecast was really good. I say really good. The forecast is for it to rain tonight and all of tomorrow, which, if it does, it should bring the river up enough that Saturday could be a really good day. Brilliant. The only thing that is mildly concerning is that we are forecast 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Not good for waving a fly around, that is it?
Well, quite. So it'll be a full face mask, I think.
Yes.
And body armor. But yeah, and then obviously next week I'm off to the Spey for my annual trip there. So heading over there on Sunday. And I've been watching the SEPA gauges like a hawk, and they've been steadily rising all week there.
Get in.
Which is really good news. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll just peak around Sunday afternoon.
Well, let's hope all the fish are waiting in the bay, desperate to head upstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Right, chaps, let's move on, because I think there's probably plenty of people listening who are sick of hearing what a lovely time we've all been having. So we've got a piece of correspondence.
Definitely. And George, I think you should do the honours and read this one out.
Oh, right. Okay. So it comes from someone we're calling Trigger.
Yeah.
And it says, "Dear Guns on Pegs podcast team, This isn't a whose bird is it anyway kind of dilemma, more of a what drink is it every day conundrum. I've been lucky enough to be invited to back-to-back partridge days in the Borders this September. Glorious news, I'm sure you'll agree. The sort of invitation that makes a man check his tweed, service the gun, and most importantly, commit to buying the wine, spirits, and general fermented morale for the nights before, during, and after. Now here's where the barrels jam. I'm not a drinker. Well, not a drinker. I've enjoyed a drink. A glass of bubbles when I got married, a beer with a burger, a glass of red with a roast, the odd sip of something stronger when required by tradition or peer pressure. I'm no teetotal evangelist watching my figure like one of your hosts, but nor have I ever been much for the kind of drinking that results in lost wellies and found tattoos. So in short, I want to be a good guest. I want to bring the right stuff, but I haven't a clue. Which is where you chaps come in, because amongst your podcast ranks, you've got a retired gin distiller, which frankly sounds like the best Bond villain ever, a whiskey connoisseur with more drams consumed than most Scotsmen, probably, a wine man who, when swirling his Tesco Malbec like it's a 2005 Bordeaux, can actually tell the difference between them, a beer insider for breakfast type who we know once drank something weird in a field because it was what the goats were having, and of course the retired rugger bugger whose liver deserves a mention in dispatches and who probably still owns a beer funnel just in case. So gentlemen, and Avian, whose knowledge of distillation may be more industrial than artisanal, I ask, what wine should I bring for a warm September evening shoot supper? Is it, as George says, always time for rosé? That's a misquote, by the way. It's always rosé weather, is the saying. What is the minimum whiskey standard for post-drive toasts without being silently judged? Is port still a thing, or has it gone the way of calling your gun dog Trigger? And is there a universally accepted don't turn up without this bottle I should know about? Help me, chaps. I want to turn up to this shooting party, not just well-heeled, but well-poured. I want to be remembered not as that guy who brought Lambrini and service station Alcopop mixers, but as a man of taste, tradition, and above all, the good bottle. Yours in spirit, and hoping not to get kicked off the peg for my Merlot, Trigger.
That's an excellent letter. That's brilliant.
It is good.
Yeah, well done.
I've got
That's
no
a good
idea
one.
who he's talking about. Is there another Guns on Pegs team we don't know?
I don't know whether we should be insulted or flattered by that.
I just want to say I do have a funnel.
We're not surprised.
Very, very good. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, what do we go with, chaps? I mean, Ave, go for it. I mean, you are
Yes,
the guy.
you are the expert.
You are the Bond
crikey.
villain.
No pressure there then. Well, I mean, I think you look at it in a couple of ways. I think let's break down the shoot day wine first of all. I think on a shoot day dinner, you can't really go too far wrong with a good table claret. I think it's the sort of wine that it's presentable anywhere. I mean, Berry Brothers and Rudd do their good ordinary claret. I think for the table wine on the day, you don't really need to go completely over the top. Maybe it's just the people I shoot with, but it tends to be more volume over quality. But as he's going in late September, I did wonder, chatting with a friend of mine, Toby Gorn, who's got one of the most enviable job lists I've ever come across. He's a cigar and whiskey writer, a global spirits judge, and a shotgun coach. So he's probably the chap to go to.
Tough times.
And he suggested a magnum of English sparkling, and in particular the Hoffman and Rathbone. And looking on their website, they do some quite interesting wines on there, and their sparklings look rather good. So they do their classic cuvée at 2010, and for a Magnum, little rich perhaps, but at 189, it looks beautiful. Apparently, it's one of the finest English sparklings there is, and I think on a warm September evening after the partridge, maybe a couple of each of those. And a couple of clarets would certainly get you in the picture.
I think that's a really good shout. I think the English sparkling for a September partridge day is just the ticket.
It really is, isn't it? That, and that's the popularity. It knocks out any prosecco, doesn't it? And good quality English sparkling at the moment is.
Oh, I mean, they give the champagnes a run for their money.
They really do, don't they? They really do. I know. We use Corny and Barrow for our English sparkling, and you go hard pressed to put it up against any kind of 40 to 60 pound bottle of champagne.
Yep.
And really, really, really good, really good. But so he goes on, right? So we've done the wine, chaps, okay, and then the evening. Sam, what about that bottle that will never be forgotten?
Well, I went a bit over the top with that, to be fair, because I had a quick look on the whiskey exchange, and I think if he truly never wants to be forgotten, and I mean Trigger doesn't give much away about what he does, or his job title, or maybe he's a lord or owns a super yacht, but Macallan do the Reach, which is an 81-year-old Speyside single malt, which is
81 years old.
Yeah. 81-year-old.
There must have been about a teaspoon of that left in each barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was much. It works out about 285 grand a litre. So
we'll have a case, shall we?
Your 70 centilitre bottle is £200,000, and it comes in a nice little presentation of 3 bronze hands holding it up, which represent the distillers in 1940 and a couple other people. Can't remember.
For 200 grand, it should come in its own presentation Bentley.
With its own driver.
Well, yeah, potentially.
I like what you're doing here, Sam, but I have a suspicion that, well, I think whiskey's a foxy one. I love whiskey, but not everyone does. No. I think a safer bet is port.
Yes.
And you can pick up...
I don't think you can go wrong with port. I'd agree with that, George.
And I think the key, though, is to not just go to Tesco's and pick up a bottle of LBV for 25 quid. Get on something like Berry Brothers website and find a decent bottle of vintage port. It doesn't, and this is a shoot day, right? So it's a nice shoot day. You don't have to go crazy, but just get a decent bottle, and people will always remember a good bottle of port. Probably more so than the whiskey, actually, because the lasting impression of a good bottle of whiskey for me is often the headache the following day.
That's very true.
And you don't want to be remembered for that.
Yeah, you're more likely to remember who gave you the port than who made you finish a bottle of whiskey.
And I would say with the wine, I love your guys' views of English sparkling, and I was going to say that if I was traveling somewhere like to the borders, I'd take a wine that's local to me. So I've got Lime Bay Winery just around the corner, and they do a really nice Pinot Noir rosé, which is only 20 quid a bottle. You could load up a couple of cases of those and take them up there, and that is something from my neck of the woods that I'm taking to somewhere else in the country, which I think would be quite nice.
Yeah, that's a really sentimental.
I think there's a really good point here, actually, that the cost of it often is irrelevant. It's actually the thought that's gone into it. So I think there was something in here about what's right to have between drives, and I would if you don't make your own sloe gin, well, one, start doing it because everybody should, but also but if you don't, find somebody local who does.
Yes,
because it's about the story as much as anything else.
Absolutely,
couldn't agree more. There was one I thought for just as sort of to Sam's point, which is looking at something a little bit different that isn't completely going to break the bank. And talking with Toby about this, it was potentially taking them a wine that requires aging. So
that's a lovely gift, isn't it?
Yeah, a classic one is a Nebbioli, which is a Piedmont grape. And you can buy those at a year old for $13.50, I think, at Majestic Wines. So you can quite easily buy a case of those without breaking the bank, and they're best drunk at 5 to 6 years. So it's something that somebody would take, put down for a period of time, and then enjoy later on, and potentially invite you back when it's ready to drink. You never know.
Yeah, there we go.
And the other one I thought, which is sort of trying to think, well, what would be used on a drinks cabinet that most people wouldn't necessarily go out and buy for themselves, and a fantastic overlooked liqueur base is an Amaro. So you can get a really nice Amaro for about 25, 30 quid, and I've picked out some cocktails that I thought might suit the team. So George, we'll go with you first. Is the Monty Mule, which is lime, Amaro and ginger beer.
Lovely.
For Chris, we could do him a cachaça, banana liqueur and lemon juice with Amaro. That's known as Is Banans.
Has it got milk in it or not?
It's,
I'd have got a Chocomel.
Well, I'm sure he could take the banana liqueur and use Chocomilk instead.
Yeah.
I'd have a Monte Negroni, which is Amaro gin and Rosso vermouth. I thought for Jake, a Hunter's Verdict, rum, ginger and bitters, because I know how much you enjoyed Johnny's ginger thing. So we're going to keep giving you ginger till you like it. So I thought it was one of those. It's almost barman's ketchup. It's got so many applications. It's one of those liqueurs that, you know, you look in any cocktail book and Amaro will feature in hundreds. So it's something that could appeal to everybody's taste. And failing that, in a bottle of absinthe, they'd never forget you then.
I mean, and then just quickly to finish it off, I mean, you boys have really gone to town on some great choices there. But just to finish off with the cigar, I mean, I looked at the I'm going to say this wrong. The Cohiba Beehike, the 52. Guys, this is a serious cigar. My good friend at Corney and Barrow, James Aldridge, hit me up with this at £400 a stick.
Great.
Isn't
that's ridiculous.
Isn't lighting a cigar at that price pretty much arson?
Well, apparently you're not to do it with anyone around and make sure that no one bugs you for 2 hours is the rules. But equally, buying a box in 20s of those, you can all do the maths on the back of the cigarette packet. But equally, you can't go wrong with a Romeo and Julieta, a wide Churchill cigar, you know, or a late night. You know, they're around the 42 to £55. You could take a box of those up as a thank you. You're not doing too badly. You're going to get invited back again.
You might get invited back too often with that sort of generosity.
Well, that's exactly it. Now, I will tell you a very, very quick one where I went up to the Isle of Rum and shot my first stag with Mr. Blair Balmont.
You haven't mentioned that before, Jake, have you?
No, rarely mention that.
I told you I've been to Water Priory as well. So, and then, but anyway, get back to it, chaps, you buggers. It's the fact I went into Corney and Barrow and I said, James, I'm going to need some cigars. Now, I've never bought cigars. I'm an ex-smoker and what have you. And I thought to myself, what's going on here? And I was like, my friend, he enjoys those Winston Churchill late nights. So he said, absolutely. And I said, thinking we bought them in packs of 20. He said, I've got 20. I said, I'll take a box. And thank you very much. Thinking 40 quid, 50 quid with inflation since I gave up smoking. And he rings it all through. I put a couple of bottles of whiskey on there as well. Jake, that'll be £1,115, please. I was like, what? And he said, the late nights at 955 quid. I was like, put them back. I'll take 3.
I want to smoke them, not divorce them.
I mean, they're expensive, but they're becoming very fashionable at the moment. I mean, Ave, I know you've given up smoking now, but Sam, I know you enjoy a cigar. George, are you a big cigar fan?
I'm not a cigar man at all. I smoked a pipe for a long time, which I really enjoyed. It's a bit of a faff, though. Is the main thing. Yeah. I don't really get on with cigars at all. So I stick to my vape these days.
I'm not ashamed to say I don't mind the cheap ones. So
yeah. Good man.
Right. Listen, chaps. We've been going for 40 odd minutes now. We've hardly spoken about shooting at all. But we do need to start wrapping up quite soon because I have got some very important fishing to do. So there is one news story this week that I think we do just need to touch on, which is that earlier this week there was a debate in the House of Commons on the Wild Justice petition to ban grouse shooting. Yeah. And I think it's just really important to say that I'm sure everybody knows by now that the petition was basically thrown out of the room. One person spoke in favour of the ban. Several people, including our former Prime Minister, Mr. Rishi Sunak, spoke in favour of grouse shooting and the work that the upland keepers and landowners do. And so I think, really the important thing to say is that shooting can often feel like it is under fire a lot of the time. But the result of that debate, for me at any rate, is testament to the hard work that various organisations put in, but I'd particularly like to single out Moorland Association and, of course, now I get the name wrong. It's got a new name, but the Moorland Matters events, some people might not know this, are becoming something called conservation conversations. So they're
Okay.
looking to spread their wings a bit. But obviously, the work that Tarquin and Emily and all that crowd do on those Moorland Masters events has been really instrumental this year.
Yes.
And when you hear Daniel Zeichner say that the government has no plans to ban grouse shooting, that is driven grouse shooting, I should say, that is particularly pleasing to hear. I would also like to just highlight the irony of that debate taking place while, quite a significant part of Scotland was in a raging inferno.
Which the gamekeepers that were being defended by the MPs were helping to put out, let's not forget.
And
Exactly.
the RSPB refused to acknowledge their assistance when they put their comment out thanking the firefighters and what have you. So, I wholeheartedly agree with you, George. I think hats off to all the lobbying and all the effort and all the hard work that all the organisations have been doing. And I think, again, you could clearly see, there were some Labour MPs standing up in giving positive comments, and basically, I can't remember the MP's name, Labour MP, young chap, stood up and said, I'm not a shooting man, but I've been to the grouse wars and I've seen with my own eyes what goes on the ground. I've seen the variety and the quantity of wild birds and endangered species that benefit from these areas.
Yeah.
So the message is getting through.
He specifically name-checked the Basque Let's Learn More events.
Let's Learn More.
He was right.
So that was Sam Rushworth, and he used to work for an animal welfare charity as well, I think.
That's right. Yes.
And like you say, he highlighted the Let's Learn More thing that he went to with a load of primary school kids as well, and absolutely fantastic feedback from him.
So next time you hear someone saying, "Oh, the organisations, what did they ever do for shooting?" you can turn around and tell them,
and get on with it. But it just shows, doesn't it, how speaking to local MP, I know it's something we spoke about. We don't need to go on. Yeah, that's mentioned in previous episodes. But do get in contact with your MPs. Do spread the word. It's clearly working, and let's celebrate this win. Let's turn and face, and let's all as a community and as one look forward, don't sling mud, and just stand proud that we have all come together through the different organisations. And bloody well done to you all, and to everyone involved. Thank you so much. Brilliant work, guys. Right, moving on, George, where are we going next?
Well, I think we're going to talk about a bit more shooting. I think somebody's got a grand day out for us.
Yeah, so I've been having a rummage through the Guns on Pegs website, and I've come across the Compton Beauchamp shoot in Oxfordshire. And on the 12th of September this year, they are offering a 150-bird partridge day, fully hosted, fully catered, the usual kit and caboodle. And that's coming in a shade over our grand at $1,085. However, if you select the premium membership on Guns on Pegs, that reduces it down below our threshold to £974, which I think is pretty damn good value for money for what looks like a cracking day out. Just looking at some of the pictures on the website, it's that typical rolling Oxfordshire countryside, mixture of wood and pasture. It looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that looks like a great opportunity, actually. Fantastic. Good digging. Right. So we're going to wrap up pretty shortly, but we have just got some village notices to hand out. First one is that myself, Sam, Avian, Jake, and Chris had a quick Zoom call yesterday to put the finishing touches to our plans for the 100th episode of the Guns on Pegs podcast, which we'll be recording live at the Game Fair in the Carter Jonas Theatre at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Not going to give too much away about what we're doing.
Saturday. I hope it's Saturday.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Tuesday.
Tuesday. How did Tuesday come out?
No idea.
On the Saturday at the Game Fair. Saturday at 4 p.m. in the Carter Jonas Theatre. I'm not going to give too much away about what we're going to do, but it will be really good fun for people who are long-time listeners and for people who are new to the Guns on Pegs podcast. So if you are there at the show, do come along. Then, Jake, I think you have also got a bit of village notice to give us.
Yeah, so my village news is quite simply, guys, this is the moment where I can release that the Guns on Pegs Order of the Garters Shoot Day is going ahead, guys. This
Excellent.
is going to be, yeah, there we go. So we are very, very, very lucky to have been invited to Frank Body's Mount Garrett shoot up near Harrogate. We are going like normal, 10 pegs, 20 guns. And if you are listening to this, then you need to send me a message very, very quickly and get on there. We will be going up the night before. It's an incredible, incredible place. Frank has been one of the longest Guns on Pegs members. Am I right, George?
Yeah, so he was one of the very first shoots way back in the day to sign up his shoot to advertise on Guns on Pegs. I've spoken to him many a time on the phone. And his two shoots, he ran Ripley Castle for a very long time. That was his main Mount Garrett. Alongside it, he gave up the lease on Ripley Castle a couple of years ago, I think. Yes. His shoots were always top of the table whenever we did any surveys or looked at the data in terms of which shoots were having the most views or getting the best ratings. Really, really highly regarded shoots. Frank's a lovely guy. People who've listened to some of the live episodes, they might remember Frank being asked for his desert island shooting at the game fair when we recorded live there, and he said, "Well, I'd go fishing." He's a very, very nice guy. This is his last season ever running shoot, so we're very fortunate to be getting in there. It's going to be a great day. You'll also have noticed that we are heading north of Watford. For the podcast shoot day for the first time, which I think gives everybody an opportunity who maybe thought that Sussex was a bit of a schlep.
Yeah,
I just want to say, I think in previous years, one or two people have tried to sort of slide in early by sending Jake a WhatsApp. It's not going to fly this time. You do have to email pod@gunsonpegs.com.
Yeah, you've all got to. You've all got to email and to make it as fair as possible. You're quite right, George.
It will be strictly first come, first serve. Open to anybody who has had something read out on the podcast. And I, for one, am very excited about it. It's going to be a great day.
It's going to be amazing. So I'll give you an idea of bag size. It's Frank has been incredibly generous and has allowed us to have a 250 to 300 bird day for £500 plus VAT per gun. Okay, Crikey. So this is a end of career, almost end of season, kind of farewell to Frank for us to enjoy a day at Mount Garrett. Guys, this is a one in a lifetime. And so I'd just like to say thank you to Frank, to his team, and I look forward to hearing about the emails that come through. Like George said, email pod@gunsonpegs.com.
I think a very fitting place to go on Guns on Pegs' 18th birthday year as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Does that mean we can all drink?
And we can get a shotgun certificate.
Guns on Pegs needs its own shotgun certificate. But yeah, guys, it really, really exciting. So once your emails are in, once we get through the processing, then I'll be in touch with all the details. So very much looking forward to that.
Fantastic stuff. Right. So, as I said, I've got to go fishing. So, thank you very much.
Do you want to go and we'll finish up? We'll turn the lights off.
Yeah, we'll do the washing up and turn the lights off. You rush out and catch a fish, George.
Shut up. I want to do the outro.
Go for it. Right. 3, 2, 1, men shush.
Right, so before we go, all that remains for me to say is there's a final reminder that you can get your hands on a pair of the very exclusive Guns on Pegs podcast shooting sock garters and qualify for the shoot day by sending us your shooting dilemmas for us to resolve, sharing your unpopular opinions, letting us know about forgotten drives, your podcast itineraries, all of that good stuff. Drop us an email to pod@gunsonpegs.com, and if we read it out in the next episode, we will send you some garters. Don't forget your challenge Avians. He's still got the cider challenge rolling, but we haven't had one for him for a little while, so let's get something for him to keep him busy. He's got a lot on his mind. What we haven't given up smoking.
You're going to breathe now, George. This is sounding very terms and conditions.
I tell you what, you don't get this on Country Slide, men, do you? I mean, honestly, look at this. But yeah, right, George.
I said we were going to do a tight hour, and we've done 58 minutes and 38 seconds.
Honestly, you're tying the fly. Be gone, George. Be gone. It's been epic, guys.
That's
Have
great.
a great week, and I look forward to seeing you all at the game fair.
Here, here.
Fantastic. Right, lads,
See you a lot,
George.
everyone. Cheers from all of us. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.